All right. So the idea here is that we are going to, I always talk about this concept, the SWAT SEO, which is basically putting a little team of experts together to tackle a strategy, a plan, or a project, or whatever you want. But SEO is it has many moving pieces, so we are going to focus only on SEO on content production. Why? Because content production is what moves the needle the most, besides other things. So let's get started with that. For the ones that don't know me, I've been working with the interwebs for a long time. I started my first startup in 1999, and since then I always been doing internet work, from web design to SEO now, where I've been focused for the last 15 years or so. And let me just turn on a light here. Right. So I've been beside that, I worried a lot about content because I took a journalism degree, which has, um, you know, make me someone really focused on good content creation, and that's about it. And then since 2009, when I got started with SEO, I started working in a London startup in London, and from then on, I kind of took off on my own, and I have a travel guides network in Spain, in Spanish, sorry, with 20 travel guides. Actually, it's more like 30. I have a website that is called viabam.com, which is also a booking engine, so you can book tours. That is dependent on the traffic that we generate with the travel guides. And I also have the SWAT SEO agency, which we have clients or have had clients with 300 W, Submagic, etc. So many very well-known startups and SaaS. Okay, and also the SaaS, which is swiftbrief.com, which we're going to talk about today because is one of the biggest levers that I use today for my work in all of the work that I do in SEO. Okay. So at the beginning, of course, like most of you, I didn't have any idea of how to scale this stuff. It was everything was super time consuming, everything was difficult and not easy to follow, and just like a big puzzle that you need to put together. So it took me a long time to figure it out first, and then it took me a lot of time to figure out how to scale it. Okay, but now I can say I have in the SWAT SEO agency, we have around 10 to 12 writers that manage around, well, it varies, it range, but right now we have around 8 clients, and at the peak we were at 19 or something. So we always fluctuating, but I can volume can take the volume up or down according to what I want to do. So it's a great scaling problem to have. And then I also have the travel guides, which we write, I don't know, maybe around 50 articles, between 30 and 50 articles per month. And we have there 3 or 4 writers. So different group, different people, different projects. And what I find amazing is that I can manage all of that with the right people and with the right tools helping me do it. So I posted this, I think, yesterday on Twitter, and I was asking people what did they think happened here, right? And a lot of people thought there was this discussion where they were saying oh, is it all backlinks, or maybe bots, or maybe just, oh, it seems like it's only content. And there were very good responses there. And the response it wasn't a mix. Okay, so it was just a project that we started in May last year. I started to level up with these different levels that I found to create better content, and since May we started creating content for those. So it basically, yes, you guessed it, content is king, and that's what we're going to talk today. Okay, So one of the first things that I wanted to like help you understand is that content has like different moving pieces, and this is what I use to scale my own. Okay, so I basically, for everything that I do, we create something that is called like a topical map. If you don't know what that is, it's basically, I'm going to show you one now, like a very raw one that I did in the past. Now I don't do it like that, but um, so a topical map is something that only helps you like map what kind of topics are you going to cover. So basically, it will take the macro context of your website and figure out what the people that are looking into your niche are looking for. That's basically the map, and that map is then it's also converted into a content calendar. So once you figure out what is the topics and the subject that you need to tackle, then you convert that into a content calendar so that you can actually delegate to other person. And once you have your content calendar and you know what you want to write, then you need to go into the nitty gritty and create the SEO brief for each person to work on the on the content, and then you just like delegate that to your writers or you write it yourself. I don't know what your situation is, but both work. And at the end of the day, you just publish. And then publishing is also another step where you need some let's say like optimizations and things like that, but that will be like for another webinar. Today we are going to cover mostly about the content production. Okay, so this is I just wanted to explain how I did it before and how I do it now, so that you can also, because maybe you have the same like mess in your head, and I want you to figure out how to do it better or in a simpler way today. So this is what I did in the past. I will like install WordPress, and then maybe I will open like a Google Sheet. Of course, like install a WordPress under a domain that you already selected. Maybe it's an exact match domain, like you have to go through all these things. And but once you do it, like starting from that point when you start maybe installing your WordPress or your Wix or your Webflow, whatever it is now. I'm talking how I did it before, but you can, of course, use something different. And then I will like, okay, figure out what I'm going to write about. What is this about? So I will spend maybe top of my head, like check some competitors, see what the categories are for that project or that content. And then I will put like categories to each of the topic that I think were going to be useful. And then I will create like a list of all these articles that I wanted to publish. And I think this is something important. Most people will say, I'm going to put this article today because it makes sense with keyword research. But is it a lot better if you beforehand research a little bit how that should look, so that you know that someone that is looking for, I don't know, Nike shoes is probably going to also look for Air Jordan sneakers or something. So just if you think about them beforehand, you're going to create a better experience for your reader, and they are going to have a reason to trust you more. They are going to have a reason to click more around your website. And so, yeah. So I will do this. I will list all these categories, and then I will like use something like Ahrefs or SEMrush, where I will go through the list of all the things, and then like spend hours doing keyword research for each and deciding and trying to understand the search intent for each of those, because it's one of the most difficult things. You find a keyword and you don't know what the search intent is for that. You don't know if it's something that people want to buy, or if it's something that, unless it's like really like buy, choose or something. Unless it's something like that, you always kind of need to double check that kind of thing. So I will spend hours doing that. I would say I will spend like um, hours doing the keyword research. And then the worst part will be creating the content brief for the writers, um, because that will take a lot of time. I'm going to explain you why later. and then I will just delegate that, and then double check everything, see if they were using the writers were using the right hierarchy, the meta titles. It was super, super, super long process. It was very rough and not as advanced as it is today. But this is one of the examples that I always show. Is like this is what I did. Like this will be my first step. It will be like just write the whole thing, then investigate. Of course, when I write this topical map, I will like figure out um, if if it makes sense. Of course, I didn't know all of what to see in Milan. I didn't know that all of these things were the ones that you wanted to see, but I would try to make that cluster like really strong. There were part Google search, part brain. I will have, of course, known beforehand what the main topics were gonna be, like the transport, where to sleep, what to see, all of that. I know that because I done it several times in my case. Um, but this was what I did at the beginning, okay? And um, and I will give the writer some simple guidelines. I would say like, look, and maybe the first one, like H1 and meta title, will be on me, and the rest will be on them. What I mean by that is I didn't let them select that. I will like tell them like, yeah, you write the thing, and then when I was about to publish the thing, I will like create the H1 and the meta titles, and I will ask them like use H2's variation of the same keyword, or if it made sense. If it didn't make sense, just to ask them to also put another H2 or H3 or whatever. I will tell them to use bold, well interlinked stuff. I would like a very good internal linking. This is super key if you want your SEO project to be successful. To use and to be this is important, to be super factual and create useful information, not fluff. Because a lot of people think like they should do like super long form, and they would just like keep adding yada yada to the content, and that's usually not good. It kind of diverts your core topics and semantics. It will get diluted with non-factual information. The people that do this well, they add a lot of factual information. Like if you see, the big names in the industry like Korai and things like that, they will use like a super factual information. They won't use fluff. So this applies to everyone. Also, think about yourself reading something. You have so many things to do in the day or to research about one topic that you don't want any fluff, right? Like most of us are always complaining, right, about the recipes website where you will read the story of someone and their granny recipe. So that's a classic. And with these simple like guidelines, we will create it. This is the site that I was mentioning. This is that topical map. Is this site, okay? And you can see like I have like different keywords in number one. You can check yourself. This is Spain. I think there's something wrong with the href and Spanish language because believe me, like Milan airports, it's not like a zero difficulty thing. So whatever. But anyhow, uh, this is the success of that website that I brought once, and I haven't touched in a long time. I do touch it, but mostly for the CTAs, like the call to action, something like that. I actually should upgrade that website because it's very old looking now. But I just wanted to show you like the power of doing something. It took me a long time. You can see like some keywords here, like Milan Airport, the Lake of Milano, Milan Pass, which is a product that we sell that you buy it and you can like use the transport for free around things like that, right? The stadium where you can make like a tour in the stadium. What else? Uh, yeah, I think these are the main ones, but I just wanted to show you like the biggest ranking position and also the graph. This is a screenshot from last week. I did a workshop last week and I showed this one, and I just wanted to show you that. So doing all these like super, complex thing, very manual, you can do that. And I got to a point where I could kind of scale this to other travel guides, and it worked really well. But then again, it was difficult because it always needed like that first initial push that would take me a long time to do. So what I do now is a lot more basic, and because I do a lot of delegation, and I think if you're like handling like an agency, or you want to create different things, certain projects, or you are managing your SaaS or whatever you're doing, you should delegate if it's possible for you. Otherwise, because I think like there's so many moving pieces that the best is for you to focus on what actually moves the needle. If that is doing the content on your own, that's fine. In my case, it takes a long time, and for the travel guys, we always hire people that live there because they are going to be super easy at doing that. It's going to be easy for them. So what we do now is, and I'm going to show you like the full process now of what we do here. Um, I basically install WordPress like using Cloudways, super simple, nothing complex. Then I would check kind of the main keywords with Ahrefs. Then I would create topical map and brief, and this is like super time saver because um, it's crazy the amount of time you can spend doing topical maps. I still do a lot of it on Google Sheet, and I use Swiftbrief to do it. And I think over time this is gonna be everything done here with Swiftbrief. I'm biased because I'm also a part owner of this software, but check it because uh, it's been a super time saver. And then to delegate, I will pass this on to Google Sheet on Airtable. It depends. There's are like clients that they want that on Airtable, others want it in Trello. We mostly internally, I use mostly Google Sheet or Airtable. And then like the quality and technical checks, I do them with my brain and checking like the different tools. So let me just jump here. Well, Cloudways, nothing to say here. You just should go and explore it on your own. It's really cool. It just gives you like one-click installation for WordPress, or I think it had like WooCommerce and other things that it had. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend them. Not expensive and super fast. So if you don't know anything about servers, or you don't want to deal with that and how to manage them, they are super cool and they will help you. They have like an amazing customer support as well. So I wanted to show you what I do here on Ahrefs, for example. I'm putting the case of Swiftbrief, which is the software I was talking about. And let's suppose that we want to create some content for them. So we will say, yeah, let's use this here and put it in the AI here, and just like let it work. So now I have a bunch of keywords here, and I will click that and see what the results are. Okay, so I kind of like I'm like this is kind of like a cooking channel now. I had it already. I'm not going to let you wait until I do the whole thing. And now, okay, like see how fast that was. It was like super fast. Before it would take me a lot of time. Now using Ahrefs AI thing, and coming to the results of that result, I can. So Swiftbrief had this plugin on Chrome where you can just come here and say, okay, Awesome. Let me try to see what this SEO content brief thing is, right? And you will click here. Sorry, just like a parenthesis here. You can go to Google Chrome, download this, and get that results on that little thing here on Ahrefs. So have a look at that. It's awesome. I think you can only have it if you are paying for Swiftbrief, but Swiftbrief is not expensive. So um, I mean, for the amount of time that it saves you, it's not expensive. And then from then on, you will click on SEO content brief, okay? And it will pop up this thing and tell you if you want to create kind of like a roadmap or a brief. Sorry, a topic or a brief. A topic that actually you convert kind of into like the umbrella topic of your content, or a brief. Okay, so you can do both. I think I have both here. Yeah, this is the brief, and this is the topic. Okay, I'll show you this now. But before I go into it, I also wanted to show you what I used to do before having this. Okay, yes, so you can like see the amount of time, and still you can do it on your own if you really don't have the means. So for writing guidelines, I will take like a client or a project, and I will say like, okay, this is what I need. This is what the client does. This is the length of the article, because we found out that most of the competitors do X amount of words. And then we will like download. So we will copy and paste all the competitors here. Okay. Um, and then we will list the following words and variations from using Ahrefs and something called Cluster AI. We will take all these keywords, put it there, copy and paste, basically, and then we will manually use everything that is related to that keyword. In this case, Douro Valley, which is like a wine region here in Portugal. What is it? Is it worth visiting? And then we will give an explanation to the writers about what to do with each of those. But the good thing about having this brief, is that you don't need to think like if the writer is doing a good job. You don't need to think if the answer that people are looking is gonna be answered for. You don't need to think about any of that if you do this previously. And you should, like in the past, I was doing this manually. And so I was like copy and paste, I'm explaining things here, like elaborate on what are some good places to visit in the Douro Valley. I would say like consider these towns for sure, but investigate more. I would do all of this. And then like the list goes on and on and on until I would try to cover as much as possible of what I found in the keywords, and that will be the brief. Okay, so just consider that. So back here, when you say like, okay, create the topic content brief, it will tell you this is the topic. Okay, this is not the brief. So in the topic, what Swiftbrief gives you is all the other topics that you could be covering, and it will tell you, you can organize this for whatever you feel is better for you. It might be like what is the average TR for that result. That means like what the average TR of the people that are showing up on Google, or you can focus on keyword difficulty or the volume. We even have um, like a internal ranking, which is the authority mark, where we figure out which are going to be the best or 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 the ones that are going to be maybe more difficult. But I would say that never like this is a from personal experience. I will mostly go for volume, and sometimes I will try keyword difficulty starting with a low one, but something that I know I can change later to a bigger one, just for the sake of fast results. And then once you do this, you have two options. You can create a brief, okay, or you can move this into, like you can see here, like into another, like now I only have like two. Well, it's the same topic, but imagine that these were two topics. I could, if there's a topic that is appearing on somewhere else, I would just, so imagine that this was like I don't know, what to see in Spain, and this was like what to do in Spain. So the two different things, right? So it these kind of tools usually, can get you a little bit confused, or can get a little bit confused about some terms because they are, you know, computers. uh, so basically that, and then you can like you can move around this stuff. It's really really cool. And then you can create the brief. So in this case, I already created this brief, for example. This is an interesting one: content brief template, content brief generator, content brief. I open these three. So let's say we open content brief. Sorry, I already have that ready here. Okay. So if you open content brief, you are going to see what I was showing now that I usually did manually, already ready, done for you. So you're going to find like this is you have the option here. You can like personalize it better if you want for your writer before you delegate that, or just let the writer figure it out. And once you finalize the brief, you can copy to a Google Doc. So you just say like yes. So what it does is copy all the content on your clipboard, and then you just paste it. And once you paste it, you have the whole brief here. Isn't it amazing? It's really cool. So anyhow, now you have your brief and it's ready to go. So you are able, well, you have to check it, right? Like you have to go through it, make sure that it is what, it needs to be, because still it has some AI behind. But other than that, what it usually took me like 30, 40, 50 minutes before, it now takes me what, minutes? Like, I don't know, maybe less than 10 minutes. So I can just like go click, decide the keyword, copy and paste. You've seen all the whole process. And now you are just able like, okay, this makes sense, clarifying the goal, da da da. So here we have, in this case, we have different, because it's a very broad topic, how to create an effective content brief. It has different type of content brief. And if we wanted to focus on one specifically, then we should create a one for that. But for example, this one, optimizing content brief for SEO, which will be like my main thing. These are the contextual keywords for that section of the whole article. But again, you can split it and just try to do just one brief for that if you want, and create that. Explain how to integrate the SEO strategies into content brief. Da, 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 da. It even gives you an example where an image could go. Maybe we will integrate some imaging later. The role of SEO and content outcomes, blah blah blah, keyword research, etc. It's really cool. I think this work. I'm ready to pass it on. Okay. So you can do this, like you can scale this, like you can spend. Suppose you wanted to create like 100 brief to do that. You can like do it maybe in one day or 2 days. You can actually do this, and then delegate all the brief to a third party, a person, or if you're going to do that yourself, you can create your own content calendar. And the cool thing about this is that with all these topics that I have here, even the content calendar is something that is super simple, because in the past I would go to a Google, so I would go and do something like this. And maybe some of you do this as well. So I will say like, parent topic, and I will say, okay, content brief. And then I will say like, I don't know, like keyword, let's say, or article, and then put content brief for sale or something like that, right? And then you will have like different ones. You will have like content brief, you will have content brief for social media. I don't know, I'm just making this up. And then I will say, okay, what is the keyword difficulty? What is the volume? I will like kind of bring all this information from the different tools that I manage. You have to justify them, right? Like if it's a client or if it's yourself or whatever. And now the amazing thing about this is that you click here, you download it, and then you come into a sheet. I already did it, and you import it. So let me show you how it works because it's really simple. So I will take this, look, get it on, import it. Yeah, import data. Sorry. Yeah. So it will get this ready, and then you just need to kind of format it for better visibility. So what I did here, and then the same you were seeing on Swiftbrief, you can do it here. So, but now you can do some other things. So you can like start who is the writing that is going to be assigned. So you can actually use this data, and if you don't need all this information, but you just want to like the content part, so you can basically, and this is also going to be like as you can see here, we are basically getting this ready to actually assign that to the writer and let them like do the whole workflow inside Swiftbrief. But for now on, you can just like figure out that out here. Okay, so this is the way you can scale your content with a little team, maybe one writer that writes one per day, can have one, two, three, four, five, six, well, five per week. So you will be done with this like in a couple of weeks if they are very lengthy. Otherwise, you can do that like in a week. For example, I cover a whole topic in just 1 week, push it out, and wait, because that's speed matters a lot in SEO. So this is basically how we do it now, and of course, this is all the information that you get from Ahrefs, from Swiftbrief. Sorry. But other thing that you might be wondering, okay, how do I scale it, right? So I do something. I do something else. I use Workilo, which is like a platform to hire for hiring. It's really good. So you basically put like your writing role there, and you get like a form where you can start interviewing people, and you will get a link with your job role, and you will send that out like to Reddit or LinkedIn or to your friends or whoever, Facebook group, etc., just to gather some writers, and you get to assess them before hiring them. So you know previously how they work, you know what kind of information they have and things like that. What kind of information they can research, etc. So basically that's what we did, and that's what I do, and that's how I scale my content. So I have like 10 minutes to hear if you have any questions. So let's bring it on. I think you can write, but I'm not sure. Okay, everyone is mute here. Let me unmute. No, I think I need to make you a contributor. So I'm going to make everyone contributor. And guys, let's try to keep it short because I really need to go. So everyone is a contributor now. So if you need to ask anything, have any comment or something, yes, this is your moment. Okay, I have a request from Ray. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Elio, Mo, you hear me? Okay. I have one question here
Yep.
from. Okay, cool. I have a question here from Marco Medeiros Filho. I speak Portuguese, so I can read that well. Do you have any recommendation for free keyword research tool processes? So, yes, I do. So let me just, there's like even on Swiftbrief, we have some tools. I think is swiftbrief.com. Sorry, did it wrong here. Slash tools, I think. Yeah. So here you will be able to do some keyword clustering and generate some meta titles and things like that. Um, so I think the keyword clustering will help you, and also SEMrush have. I think they used to have this. I'm not sure if they still do it, but SEMrush. Let me put you the name here, SEMrush.com. They used to give you like I don't know, like 10 credit per day, so you will be able to search keywords. And if you have a VPN, for example, you can like maybe like connect the VPN, maybe get another one. I don't know how good their system are, but that would be something that comes to mind. We also have a spreadsheet. Um, but I guess like using those, if you don't have like resources, go for Google. Just do your research with Google on spreadsheet open. Yeah, and there's this Mo just posted the spreadsheet we use that is gonna help you like create some sort of keyword research. A little bit of a blind one, but it's really cool. All right. Does anyone else have any question? You can post it in the chat. Okay. I think no one has any questions. So, good. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. You deal with Bing or other search engines or Google only? No, I don't. I just deal with Google. No, no small boy stuff here. Just trying to go for the big stuff. Um, but I heard good things about people getting, especially since the OpenAI, Microsoft things, more people getting results from Bing because it kind of like increased a little bit and their market share. And I don't know. Right now, I'm not looking at that, mm, but I want to keep an eye on that because the SEO game is changing and Google is getting really bad for some things. Yeah, I guess they are going to try and fix it, but yeah, it's gonna be a long time though. Cool. Yeah, I think some of my analytic tools are showing like traffic from ChatGPT. So it's kind of crazy. So probably some of my travel guys or my clients, they are like someone is looking for something and they get a recommendation from ChatGPT to use their tools or check my travel guides or things like that. And we get like some traffic. I think bigger than than Bing sometimes. So it's kind of amazing. What's the best way to publish your current content into another language? So I sent like a cheat sheet the other day. You need to make sure some technical things are done. I don't know if that's the question, but if it's about the translation, I would say um, getting a translator. I mean, translator are going to do whatever, like they are not going to take a long time because what they will do is probably just copy and paste your content, put it on DeepL or something like that, and then just put their knowledge on top of that. Um, right. Okay. Yeah. What my cheat was more like a technical, like step, like the process you need to follow to actually make that a good uh, effort, or an effort that will give you um, some some results. So, for example, that Porto.travel website that I show often, it was a translation basically done, and it's like it wasn't expensive, and we got some good results. And for some clients, we have taken some clients to, like, double or triple their traffic just because we translated. Um, and it's not as expensive as how it was in the past. So I think it's worth a try. Yeah. Yeah. Well, in that case, if it was more like about the technical, that cheat sheet that I sent is kind of like a process of how to do it. It's kind of technical. So I just think what you need to do is figure out the technicals and just translate. It, it's not complicated, to be honest. And also, it's gonna be super fruitful if you are translating a website that is already ranking. All right. Okay. Well, I think this has been fun and a good one. I'm going to try and wrap it up. You will probably get the recording later if you want to double check this. If you need any help setting up Swiftbrief or something, just send me an email. If you want any help like scaling your content, the same. Just let me know what you need help on, and we'll try to help you in any way that we can. Okay. Have a good one. Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Bye bye.